How in the hell did they find those emails, man? All I ever wanted to do was say 46 wide banana. That's it. I tell you. How in the hell did they find those goddamn emails, man? Pardon my French. Not the worst, John Gruden. Probably not the best. Not the worst, though. Not every day you get to wear this shirt on a Tuesday on the social spreader. But a lot of my friends have reached out to me in regard to the news, and I'm not going to shy away from the fact that I'm very much into civil rights and the things that we have seen, or the things that people choose to not see over the last 18 months, but more big picture ish, since what, the early 1960s, late 1950s, pretty much as soon as word was able to get out and be spread amongst the populace. I've been extremely passionate about the civil rights in this country, and so when I talk about racism, I want to talk about the systemic. I want to talk about a Dayton, Ohio cop pulling a paraplegic African American man out of his car by his hair. I want to talk about the HBO documentary, The Scheme. I want to talk about the Reagans and what they did to this country in the late 60s and early 70s. I want to talk about the history textbooks that children are taught to read in our school system. I want to talk about the how hereditary racism seems to be in this country. And I want to talk about this guy being right about everything and people like John Gruden being wrong about everything. And so when my friends reach out to me and they ask me all these things about, hey, did you hear John Gruden? John Gruden. So you're telling me, just want to make sure that I have this clear. So you're telling me that another old white man has turned out to be a homophobic, misogynistic, sexist, racist, bruised ego pile of trash. No way. Psh, that's fake news. This is cancel culture. And speaking of that, I've been looking at some of the comments on social media, and the comment boards never cease to amaze when topics like this are being thrown around. Get used to it, folks. This is not cancel culture. This is accountability culture. There is an extremely large group of people who are sick and tired of scummy people being in power, and they call them out. And if you have a problem with that, one, that's a you problem, and you might be the problem. And so when I hear these things, I always try to keep them through the prism of sports. Yes, I understand a head coach is no longer a head coach. That's not the prism. The prism is, I want to talk about the football team. And does anybody else see and potentially love the symbolism of something like this happening on the biggest bullshit holiday that we've ever had here? Because I find it, you can't make this shit up. As I said before, the more I see, the less I know. That is the only one thing for sure, the one fact that I know in this world. And I want to talk about the beginning of the emails. I want to talk about the utter sexism and grotesqueness of thinking of these men in their offices sending nudie pictures in email. What are you, 14? And those are the systemic discussions that I want to have. You're not gonna floor me too much with news that another old white man happens to be a racist, sexist pig. No way. Tell me more. As a new, well, I've now been a father for about 9 months, and one of the things that came up one time is respect your elders, and nope. Again, turns out Grandpa is a xenophobic, homophobic, racist, and he doesn't deserve your respect. And if people truly think that having that approach to people who act like this and people who are like this, even after they go in front of cameras and microphones saying they're not like this, if you have a problem with these people being weeded out, again, that's a you problem. But I do always enjoy looking through things through the prism of not only sports, but also history. I'm a big history buff, big buff. And so when you look at the fact that in our nation's capital, now, founded in 1932, they were known as the Boston Braves. The team changed its name the following year and played 3 seasons as the Boston Racial Slurs before relocating to Washington in 1937. So the team itself has been around since 1932, and they obviously changed their name in 1933. So the emails with nudity attached, with racial slurs, with misogynistic to the nth degree in regard to female referees, is being circulated at a franchise that has had a racial slur for its name for almost 100 years now, and a scumbag of an owner, Dan Snyder. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Exhibiting actions that of a scumbag. I don't know the exact amount, but I do know that there is quite a few pending sexual harassment or toxic work environment or some kind of lawsuits or them being sued in one way or the other. And again, you can't make this shit up. And the more I see, the less I know. Let's do some lines. So, one of the things that I truly try to find is I try to find teams that are perpetually something. Either they're perpetually high scoring, go with the over. They can't score with the lick, go with the under. And so there's a matchup in the MAC, and everyone loves some action, right? Between Bowling Green, they used to be undefeated against the spread. They finally lost, actually, last week. I believe it was Akron. Yeah, Akron ended up beating them by 15 as 14-point favorites. Yep. And so now they travel to Northern Illinois, who are 4-1-1 against the spread. Very sneaky team in terms of how they've went about just being really good against the spread. Last 10, they beat them 7 out of 10. Last 3, they beat them. Okay, so the last 3 times that these two teams have played, Northern Illinois is 2-1, both straight up and against the spread, and they win by 12. The spread right now is 9, over under of 46. 1 and 2 to the under, but if 35-23 is the average, that clears it with ease. Let's see here. Bowling Green 1 and 5 to the under. Northern Illinois 2 and 4 to the under. 6 of the last 7 have went under for Bowling Green. 4 of the last 6, and these guys perpetually go in the under. So 46. If you're interested in that under, I jump on it now, because I have to assume that that's only going to continue to go lower because Northern Illinois just beat Toledo 22-20, Eastern Michigan 27-20. So that's right around there. And again, Bowling Green hasn't scored over 20 since they played Murray State. So if you like that, I think that's a good lean. I think the under is a good lean. I actually had them in Akron, Bowling Green, that is. I had them in the under last week, and I believe that hit. And so, you know what? Let me just check that real quick. I believe it did. Never mind. I'm wrong. It did not. It did not hit. I did not hit that. Never mind. Scratch that. My apologies. But hey, even more reason to lean on the under. If that's something that you like, and I think that's a good lean. I think the under right now between Bowling Green and NIU, I think that's a good lean. I'm also looking at Army, Wisconsin. Army's 4-1 straight up, 2-3 against the spread. Wisconsin's 2-3, they're straight up and against the spread. Over under of 39. Wisconsin's a 14-point favorite. Man. I don't think Wisconsin should be favored by 14 over anybody. But that's just me, I guess. I guess Army did just lose to Ball State. Wisconsin just shut out Illinois. So, man, this is a toilet bowl. Let me see here. Under of 7-10 for Wisconsin. The under, wow. The total has gone under in 5 of the last 5 games for Army against a team in the Big Ten, but the over-under is 39. I guess if Wisconsin, I mean, what are you thinking? 21-10? But Wisconsin's favored by 14. Boy, that's a pass for me, man. That is a hard pass. Ugh, that game just stinks of shit anyway. And so I just pick 5 random games. I go on oddshark.com, the greatest resource on the internet, in my opinion, and I just pick 5 random games. I don't really care what conference. I don't really care what it is. I just kind of go through my system and how it is that I see this, and where I try to find leads, where I try to find fades, and it works. Anyway, so we got Ole Miss, Tennessee. Now this game I am actually very interested in. The over/under right now is 81. Whew. Now the reason for that, Ole Miss averages 46 a game, Tennessee 42, and but the last 3 games that these two teams have played, the average score is 24-30. So that flies under. That doesn't even sniff the over. It was 34-3. Well, they haven't played in a while. Never mind. The last time these two teams played was in 2014, so I guess throw that one out the window. 4-2 Tennessee is on the over. 3-2 on the over with Ole Miss. Ole Miss, though, on the roads, 0-1 against the spread, and they've hit the under once. I have to assume that was against Alabama. Yep, okay. And they just had a wild shootout with Arkansas. I truly hope that you had the over on that one. 103, I'm assuming that one cashed. Nice job. So, you know what? These teams have not played in a while, which means they probably don't have a lot of information about them. The spread right now is actually Tennessee is a 3-point underdog at home. I love getting points and home. They're 3-1 straight up at home, 2-2 against the spread. One of the things that I do agree with, for the most part, is the philosophy of regression towards the mean. I do think that if a team has been lopsided to one or the other, either covering the spread or hitting the over, they are going to average out. The averages are going to even out. I just, when a team is hot, and it looks like Tennessee is, and Ole Miss can score with anybody, I don't see, I mean, if Mizzou can put up 24 against Tennessee, Ole Miss can drop 50 easy. And so I don't think, the other thing too, sorry, I probably should have said this before. If you are going to do any over-unders and you think it's worth the risk to lock it in early, which sometimes it is, as I said before in an earlier episode, if there's a lot of action, whether a sharp comes in and moves the opening line to what it should be, or a lot of public money's coming in one way, that's something that's going to move the line. But chances of it moving more than a touchdown in either direction is extremely rare. 3 points is pretty much the average. So if you're thinking under 48, you could essentially wait until the end of the week to make sure that the weather is what you are after. I personally don't think that inclement weather has anything to do with the quality of the teams. I think that's still a very set parameter of skill that they have, and they match up with the team well, whether or not it's raining or not. However, how effective you are is. Now that's what's so useful for me. This is how I see it. That's so effective on each team. That has an effect on each team. And so when there's an equal effect that can help you in your favor, if you want the under, if it's going to be inclement weather, 48 to 45, 46 points, as long as it doesn't cross that magic number of below 45 and then below 42, you should be okay. So when I'm looking at it right now, I believe, just a second, please. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a quick search of any kind of any outlook, any week-long outlook that I can find on the weather, because if I want Ole Miss and Tennessee to hit the over, I would sure like to know what the weekend is going to look like. And so right now, the forecast for Knoxville on Saturday is 64 for a high with pretty much a 60% chance of rain. And that might be a good enough inclement weather to go with the under, actually. But that's why we do this research now. So we have this information going forward. We can keep an eye on it, and who knows? We are trying to predict the future here, which kind of leads me to a point that I've wanted to say. I've got my little quirky superstitions, idiosyncrasies. When I do my sheets, and I can just kind of show you, I do it with green ink on a yellow pad. Can't do it any other way. I love to write. I actually became kind of a journalism, English type of major in college, but my college experience is a whole other story for a whole other day. Yes, I graduated. And so I have a list of songs that I listen to. They get me in the zone. They kind of drown out everything else. And so when I am doing my research, it's kind of easy for me to lock in more and try to find more trends, try to find something really that kind of supports my instinct, because that's really what I go off of first. Is I have an instinct on a game, and if I find something that's going to support that and make me feel as warm and fuzzy as I can about trying to predict the future, then I do it. But don't mince words. Sports gambling, and I mean sports as a whole, is the number one reality television. It's the only reality television. You literally do not know what's going to happen next. You can take an estimated guess, but you do not know what's going to happen next. And we are trying to predict the future. And if you're not a little superstitious, if you don't have something that is, like an action figure that you put on your desk, or some kind of OCD with the lights or anything like that, I don't think you're doing this right. You can go through as many stats and algorithms as you want, but at the end of the day, a lot of this comes down to instinct and knowing football and being a fan of football and trusting what you see and knowing how a team matches up with somebody else. And so I truly hope that you find your own little quirkiness or quirky little idiosyncrasy that helps you kind of get in the zone, but also just kind of gives you that one little bit of confidence to feel as confident as you can in a pick. So the next game we're going to look at here is Utah State and UNLV. Now, UNLV has been a conundrum. They're 0-5, but they're 3-1-1 against the spread. And the last 3, Utah State has owned them. 3-0 straight up, 2-1 against the spread, 3-0 on the over. And it's 50-25 the last 3 times. I'm sure Jordan Love had something to do with that. And it's just amazing here that a team like this, a team that's 3-2 straight up, is also 3-2 against the spread. But the fact that UNLV's 0-5 is 3-1-1 against the spread when their offense is only averaging 18 points a game is nothing short of, you got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. This is why this is so fun, and this is why this is so hard, and this is why I love it. I love it so much. The only thing that I can say here, and this is the one thing that I would try to do, I mean, UNLV just played the Roadrunners, the previously undefeated against the spread UTSA Roadrunners, really tough. Utah State lost on October 1st to BYU by 14. That was a close game early on, if my memory serves me correctly, and I'd like to think that it does. But ever since UNLV's got their asses kicked by Iowa State, they almost beat Fresno, and they played tough against UTSA. So maybe they figured something out. Maybe they figured out how to be more competitive. I also know that what was that stat? They are 0-5 straight up in the last 5 games at home. It's nothing short of amazing, but they're only 7-point underdogs at home. And so over under of 61.5, man, with UNLV's offense, that seems way too high to me. Even, I mean, 50-25 is the average. Let me see. So Utah State. Okay. I mean, so I think what that over-under says is when you look at if you look at each of these teams on the other half of the ball, Utah State averages giving up 31 a game, UNLV 36 a game. So they're thinking that these guys are just Swiss cheese, and 62, it's 61.5 right now. 62 points is fair, even though UNLV is only averaging 18 a game. This one might be a hard pass, but here's the thing. How many times have we said that about every UNLV game this year? Ooh, that's a hard pass, and they're 3-1-1 against the spread. Oh, this is going to make me go insane over time. Anyway, the other one, now this to me is a timing thing, okay? Vandy at South Carolina. South Carolina is 4-2 against the spread, extremely formidable against the spread. Vandy's 2-5, 1-5 against the spread. South Carolina's on a 10-game winning streak against these guys. And it's they're 6-3-1 against the spread. Last year they beat them 41-7. Now the reason why I say that this is a timing thing is because of this. South Carolina just came off. When a team that has some skill loses to either one of their rivals, one of their hatreds, or anything like that, it can really rile up a team, especially a healthy team. And South Carolina is really healthy. When I look at what happened last week against Tennessee, you lost by 25, but Tennessee also is a very hot team right now, which is why Ole Miss, we might be looking at the over. And Vandy beat UConn by 2. South Carolina should have beaten Troy by a lot more than they did if that guy just would have held on the ball going into the end zone. So I think this is, and right now you can get 3 touchdowns to South Carolina. I don't think that's enough. I think this spread should be closer to 24, especially when you consider it was 41-7 last year. And according to this, Vandy couldn't even do anything. They ran it for 76 yards and they passed it for 173 with 2 turnovers. South Carolina had 500 yards of offense last year. I think this is a matchup thing. I also think this is a timing thing. This is also, I believe this is Vandy's second game in a row on the road. They lost to Georgia 62-0. How they scored 23 against Stanford on September 18th is beyond me. But before that, they lost to Eastern Tennessee State. So I do not think that this is enough. So those are the 5 that I went over here today. But guess what else today is? Puck yeah, it's hockey day. I have no idea who to pick. I know that if you're interested in hockey, one of the things that you're going to have to get used to is that you can tell a lot about where the casinos think the outcome is going to go just really off of where and how the VIG is set up and just really what kind of options that anybody even has. Now, when I say that, I'm currently looking right now. I am currently trying to look on Bovada to take a look at the lines right now for the National Hockey League here tonight. So, the spread won't change. They're going to be the same. It's going to be 1.5. And the only thing that's going to be different in every single matchup is what kind of a payout that you have. For instance, Tampa Bay right now is a 1.5 goal favorite against Pittsburgh. The payout for them to cover is even, money line minus 260. So it's it's not easy to make. It's not easy to make a lot of money if you like to bet favorites in hockey on the money line. It's certainly probably safer, but it is so unique in terms of what teams cover, what teams don't, where the over-unders are. You're going to see a lot of 5.5s, and again, the VIG will just change. So if you've got any real feeling on Pittsburgh, Tampa, or Seattle and Vegas, of course, the opening night they put the 2 teams that were in the Stanley Cup final. I believe that's correct. I might be an idiot and may have just... no. Never mind. Montreal. Never mind. Last 2. Yes. Sorry. So, if you've got any indication as to how Seattle's going to do in their first game, good luck with your bets. I know that the NBA starts next week on Tuesday, and generally what I do is I wait for after Halloween. November 1st is when I pick up usually NHL and the NBA, and I do want to get this right in terms of when does the college basketball season start. Just a second, please. Yes, I'm doing this in real time. No, I'm not going to edit this out. Someone told me that this adds human interest or something like that of me just being unapologetically myself. So I go to ESPN.com. I click on the schedule for NCAA Men. It looks like Tuesday, November 9th is going to be the starting of the season. Let me see here. Pac-12, Portland. Yeah, that's what it would appear so. So usually college hoops picks up right after Thanksgiving. I just like to give these teams an opportunity to get some kind of action underneath their belts. Plus, it helps with what we're doing, trying to figure out who's good and who's not. So, if you got any action here on hockey, puck yeah, and good luck with your bets.